Are Dan and Phil in a relationship?
Yes.
And just like that, 16 years of internet rumors, fan theories, and Tumblr essays confirmed. Dan and Phil are officially a couple. After more than a decade of speculation, British YouTubers Dan Howell and Phil Lester finally said the words fans have been waiting for since the early days of YouTube. In a 46-minute video titled, "Are Dan and Phil in a Relationship?" the duo told their almost 3 million subscribers that yes, they've been together since 2009. That's right, the fan conspiracy, it was real all along. Before Mr. Beast was giving away islands and before TikTok existed, there was this. Two awkward British guys in a bedroom making comedy skits, answering weird internet questions, and setting the tone for an entire generation of creators. Dan and Phil weren't just YouTubers, they defined early YouTube culture. Think chaotic edits, quirky humor, and the kind of friendship chemistry that had half the internet saying, they're dating. Phil Lester started uploading videos back in 2006, one of the early pioneers of the platform. Dan Howell was a fan, literally, who reached out, struck up a friendship online, and eventually joined the scene himself in 2009. Their first video together, a parody called How to Befriend Your Favorite Internet Stars. Spoiler alert, it worked. They moved in together in 2011, created joint projects like Dan and Phil Games and The Internet Takeover on BBC Radio 1, and even toured the world with their shows. The Amazing Tour is Not on Fire and Interactive Introverts. In their announcement, Dan and Phil explained that their relationship started hard and fast in 2009, but they chose not to label it publicly. Why? Because for Dan, growing up with an extremely homophobic childhood made coming out, even to himself, incredibly difficult. He said that the pressure and online speculation hit a nerve.
Phil was my safe space. You know, you were my first boyfriend. And not just like, oh, some guy, that's a good thing to tick off, but you were nice.
He described the constant fan obsession and attempts to out them as traumatic, something that, in his words, could have killed me. Phil added that announcing it now felt like another mini coming out. Scary, yes, but the pair agreed it was time to stop living in fear. Before you ask, no, they're not becoming couple vloggers. As Dan joked, we're not suddenly doing videos in bed. Instead, they're launching the Dan and Phil podcast, promising to share the stories and opinions they've suppressed for 15 years. Given their track record, expect equal parts chaos, charm, and existential humor. And if the internet's reaction is anything to go by, from Tumblr veterans to longtime fans, the love is overwhelming. Comments flooded in, calling it Gay Independence Day. And one fan even wrote, I finished my bachelor's, master's, med school, and a PhD by the time they hard launched their relationship. Dan and Phil's reveal isn't just internet nostalgia, it's a reminder of how far online culture and LGBTQ+ visibility have come since 2009. They were two closeted creators, building their careers under constant speculation, and now they're choosing to live openly and authentically, together. As Dan put it,
we can't live in fear anymore. I have this holding us back personally, emotionally, or from doing this.
16 years later, they're still making videos, still making each other laugh, and finally just being themselves. From awkward comedy duos to icons of the internet age, Dan and Phil just closed the longest running YouTube mystery of all time with a simple yes.